There's always the one in every form of media for me. In music, it's country. In movies, it's horror. In TV, it's anime. Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm stuck listening to modern country music and I have no control over the music, I will get down. I'll jam. You know what? Why not? Horror. Okay, that depends on what it is, honestly. Stranger Things, not horror. Get Out and Nope. Nope, not scary. I'm still waiting to be spooked. Smile? Yeah, no. Never gonna watch that one. I could barely get through the trailer for that one. So that's your frame of reference for the horror. But honestly, the same kind of goes for anime. Currently, I'm working my way through My Hero Academia. I saw and loved all of Death Slayer. I loved Ruby, but Star Wars Visions, well, that represents everything I dislike about anime. Hello, my name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me on my journey to watch everything ever. Lately, I've been in a Star Wars binge mood. I'm pulling up my TV timeline. Yes, I have a TV timeline, and of all the things that I've watched in the year, started last year. We are gonna do a recap of last year, because I meant to do it in January, and look at us now. It is November. What am I looking up? Oh yeah, Star Wars. I started Clone Wars years ago and it's taken me forever to finish, but I finally decided to sit down and finish them, and I finally finished them in a month, in from September to October. So that was seasons 5 through 7 that I watched. Then I immediately sat down to watch and binge Star Wars Rebels seasons 1 through 4, while also simultaneously putting in episodes of Bad Batch here and there, of which I will finish later on, while also watching Tales of a Jedi. I'm gonna put all the dates up on the screen. And then finally, Star Wars Visions, and now I'm gonna also watch Andor, but I'm waiting for all of the episodes to come out because I got too burned by Boba Fett, man. I am that guy. I am part of the problem right now. But I decided to watch Star Wars Visions because it is another form of Star Wars created content for people to enjoy. So I decided, instead of biasedly and unfairly predispositioning my opinions on something that I probably wouldn't enjoy anyways, this is me recognizing, I decided to give it a go. And seriously, oh, what the crap. Exclamation point, period. Honestly, this should have been left in the brainstorming phase of creating Star Wars content, but you know, they get A for effort. Maybe? Why is it A? Effort does not start with A. Effort starts with an E. It's E. E for effort. It's not A-fort. It's not called A-fort. This series, Volume 1, is just so anime. And what I mean by that is just, it's... And I'm gonna be assassinated by this in my sleep by anime fans out there for saying this, but... it's silly. I know that anime has some of the most superb storytelling and narratives out there. I mean, look at Death Slayer, for goodness sake. Sometimes, just sometimes, the execution can be a little heavy on the silly side for me. Bar the excessive and dramatic crying from the protagonist, Star Wars Visions pretty much had everything that would make an anime, a silly anime for me. And let me just say that in every single anime that I've seen, every protagonist cries for literally no reason sometimes, and it just involuntarily, it does make me cry, it does make me laugh. It's so funny! I don't know what it is. You know how people like laugh when, you know, I don't know, they go on a roller coaster or they talk about death? That's me with anime crying. Like the dude in My Hero, he cries every single, every 10 minutes in every episode, and it is hilarious. I'm gonna stop ripping on that anymore. In Star Wars Visions, though, there are a couple standout episodes that are just chef's kiss. With that being said, I'm gonna rank these episodes for you, instead of giving it an unfair and very biased review. Because once again, this is not something I would enjoy on the regular. So there you go, inadvertently, my mini bracketed biased review. But now let's go on to the ranking. We're gonna go a little bit fast because I was talking for way too long. But in number 9 lands episode 2, Tatooine Rhapsody. I am not the only one who have made this their least liked episode of Star Wars Visions. It is almost unanimous that this episode is terrible. As soon as this one started, I was shaking my head. I could not believe that Star Wars would produce something like this and then slap the label of Star Wars on it. And by this, I mean this! What the crap is This episode felt the least like Star Wars to me, which is the most ironic because it had the only iconic, classic, OG Star Wars character in the episode. Yet from the music they played to the this one did have the cheesy whining and crying. There we go. All of it made me groan. I did have to skim through this one because I just could not do it. Especially the music. Oh my gosh. When the episode ended, I swear I almost stopped watching the rest of these, but I continued because clout. This one definitely deserves to be bottom shelf. You know what? It's not even in the case. It is under the case. It is under the display shelf. It is chilling with the dust bunnies, hoping to be forever forgotten. This is a oops, I did it. My number 8 might actually surprise you. I don't know, but it didn't really take too long for me to decide where this would land on the list. It really took maybe about 30 seconds to a minute, and I was like, yep, this one's gonna land at number 8. This one is the last episode of the season, episode 9, Akakiri. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so I'm sorry if I'm not. I won't lie, I also skipped through this one. This one was so boring. It dragged so much. I didn't really care for it. I didn't care for it at all. The problem, however, is that this felt way too short, and I realized why. This episode suffers from a character development problem. There's so much that happens and wants to happen that when things finally do happen, you're left confused because it is such a out of left field character choice because things have to move along. So things therefore happen way too quickly. Perhaps this episode would have been good if it were longer, but just the style of content isn't really my style of content. Probably would have still landed in the same place. For me, for my personal opinion, it would have been number 8 had it been longer either way. In number 7 is episode 6, T-O-B-1. T-O-B-1. Come on. That alone is a reason why it lands in the number 7 spot. I didn't really care for this Mega Man-esque with Kimba style equivalent art. I know my anime history. Sure, this one is kinda cute with an uplifting message, but is honestly just riding that silly pony all the way downtown. So much so that you just smile because it does have a heartwarming message. This episode might be your thing, it's not my thing, but I just don't think that the attempt to make a Pinocchio Star Wars Mega Man 3-way love child really worked out in the end, in my opinion. In the number 6 spot, I have to put episode 8, La Pinocho. A lot of people had this one on their top 3, if not their top 1, which is perplexing to me. This one isn't bad. It truly is not bad, but giant bunny lady? Oof, magoof, Spider-Man. This episode is just not my thing. It could be for you, but I was honestly uncomfortable at most times because even though the true story is truly compelling, one of the most compelling stories out of the entire 9 episodes, this episode just truly doesn't have enough time to do everything that it wants to do, so the pacing seems a little off at times. The transition between the beginning to the end with the 7 years later and then suddenly the capital's like on fire, that really did get me, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? But everything from there was just like one thing after another after another after another just to hit those beats that you're just like, whoa, I'm getting whiplash and I'm staying still. This episode just wasn't bad. Like I said, the story was truly compelling, and honestly, ironically, because of this story, I would probably watch a lot of it because I would want to see what happens. Like at the end, like this was a really good pilot for a very good show. Just the style and everything else is just not my particular style, but I really do like how they incorporated their own Star Wars lore and they took and ran with it and they made it. So it is a really good one. Just for me, it's not my thing. So that's why it lands in 6, but it is a very good one. Aside from the pacing, though this episode is not my cup of juice, it was still pretty good. In number 5, we have episode 4, The Village Bride. I enjoyed this one to a degree. This one was really weird for me because it started out and it didn't really feel like Star Wars at all. But at the same time, it kind of did. Scenes kind of dragged at times, and when things did get interesting, they got really interesting. But I'm not going to lie, I don't necessarily remember this one as much. This one lands in the middle of the road because of the duel. A lot of these have to do with the fight scenes that occur in these. The final duel. This is a spoiler review, but I know some of you guys will watch these and not actually watch the episodes. But if there's anything that I would really beckon you to do is just go to the end for the final duel and watch this duel because it is so cool. Honestly, I should switch La Panocha with the Village Bride, but we're just gonna keep it as it is. All I'm saying is that this, amongst other lightsaber battles like Ben Kenobi versus Darth Maul in Rebels, or Ahsoka versus the Sixth Brother in Tales of a Jedi, these short-lived duels are amazing because of the tension that they do from the old Japanese ninja movies when they were, you know, battling off or standing off, or I don't know the term. All in all, this duel, chef's kiss. In number 4, we have episode 3, The Twins. This is another one that people love. They just love, and I understand why. It is, don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But this is also one where I say it leans a little too much on the silly side for me. I mean, honestly, the 6-arm armor thing, the constant excessive screaming, I don't know. This also veered a little too heavily on the anime tropes, but what really didn't allow me to enjoy this quite as much as I probably would have is that there's zero creativity or originality. Case in point, it's a direct copy. I wouldn't call this paying homage to yourself. I would call this straight up plagiarizing yourself. There are way too many lines and too many happenstances that are direct rips from other Star Wars content that it made me think that it was almost about to hit that mark, and it just Looney Tunes cartooned right angled and took a page right out of J.J. Abrams' book. Copied A New Hope. And really only copies other movies. What? Finally, we have the top 3. Honestly, doing this ranking, I realized I only enjoyed about 3 or 4 episodes, so here we go. Why did I put myself through this? What deep-rooted issue do I need to deal with? In any case, my number 3 is episode 1, The Duel. This one, honestly, is super creative with its art style. It hooked me almost immediately. The story here is pretty good. It's very vague and mysterious, which I think also helped They never really reveal who this mysterious red-wielding lightsaber dude is. All we know is that he is not a Jedi. As he said, unfortunately for you, I am no Jedi. The reveal of his red lightsaber got me like that. Wow, that really pulled me into the episode. I was like, no way. The other lady's lightsaber rig, the fan, wasn't a fan of that. Honestly, the Inquisitor's spinning lightsaber was a really tough pill to swallow. So this is basically a jawbreaker wanting to be a pill. Overall, I really did enjoy this episode, and my current running theory is that this guy was a Sith at one point, realized how bad they are, and decided, I'm going to go hunt the Sith with their own weapons that they yield. That's kind of exciting. In number 2, this one almost took my number 1 spot. It was so close. There's not really a rhyme or reason as to why this one took the 2nd spot versus the number 1 spot that was given to the other episode, which, I mean, at this point, you guys can use a process of elimination for. Congratulations, you're smart. But this episode reminded me a lot of that one Darth Maul short film that came out a couple years ago. It was so well done that you honestly could have believed it was part of the actual canon. My one gripe in this is the voice acting is just abysmal. It's to the point where I genuinely have no clue if these people are this bad actually at voice acting, or if they're doing it on purpose, because as my notes say, too many anime lines, lots anime delivery. I agree with myself. Other than that, the fighting was incredible. The twists and reveals were so good. I was in shock and awe throughout this whole episode that old man can fight. And if it weren't for the voice bad acting and bad dialogue lines, it probably would have been my number 1. So redact everything I said at the beginning. So maybe this is the reason why I didn't take my number 1 spot. Speaking of my number 1, as you've already used the process of elimination to guess, congratulations, my little super sleuths. My favorite episode, and genuinely my favorite episode, I actually saw this one 3 or 4 times before actually writing this, because it was that good. I wanted to understand the lore and the story before actually sitting down to writing this one. So even though I watched all of the other ones just like once, this is the one I saw about 2 to 3 times. Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi. This story was so good. I thoroughly thoroughly enjoyed the story. This one felt the most Star Wars out of all of them, and I thought that it was just really well done, from the fights to the characters to the lore of the lightsabers. I believe the lore that they chose to use for their story is very similar to how the main canon does. It's just the lightsabers in the main canon won't change immediately as soon as you touch the lightsaber. However, using that story element to reveal that the rest of the Jedi are actually Sith in the room when they turn their lightsabers on and it turns red, that I gasped audibly. I could not believe it. It was so well done. And upon rewatch, I noticed that you could have totally picked up on the fact that they were Sith. They totally gave everything to you, and I missed it. That's really good. That's really good plot twist planning there. If your people can figure it out before, but they don't, you done yourself a good. You done yourself a good. All in all, this one was my favorite of the bunch. It truly felt like a blend, like a real life blend of anime and Star Wars. If Star Wars anime looked and was exactly this, I would watch all of it. Unfortunately, it's not. Alright, what did you guys think? Leave your episode ranking in the description below. I would love to discuss lists with you. Also, be sure to list the why. In order for you to convince me that I might be wrong is for you to tell me why I'm wrong, and you know, I'll listen, and if I'm wrong, I'll happily update my list for you. Leave that ranking in the comments below. Star Wars Visions is getting a volume 2, however, according to executive producer James it seems that the anime will be toned down a little bit and we are going to see other art styles, which, thank God. I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.